Even right-wingers, nothing will change Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are for banning assault weapons. Even right-wingers, nothing will change what? Nothing is going on. You haven't given us a bold progressive agenda. You haven't done jack shit about jack shit. First of all, what about collective punishment? Oh, some asshole in Texas killed a bunch of people, so everybody else has to get punished. And apparently, a large number of Americans are okay with an FBI background check. So, I guess for the Black Panthers and Martin Luther King Jr., Martin Luther King Jr. wouldn't have been allowed to get a damn gun. Or Fred Hampton. An FBI background check? Who are you going to have doing the background check? I hope it's not the FBI. They're not going to let Fred Hampton and Martin Luther King Jr. have a gun. Martin Luther King Jr., is there anybody? That's Jesus Christ here on earth. Is there anybody better than Martin Luther King Jr.? Or Fred Hampton, for that matter? You know who would have passed the background check? Salvador Ramos. You know who would have passed the background check? All those goddamn cops who are just sitting around with one hand on their guns and the other hand up their fucking butts. So basically, if you could pass a background check, do not give those people a gun. One of them gets a gun, they'll start shit. The other ones will just sit around not doing shit. We're the good guys with the gun. Background checks, maybe they're a great idea, maybe not. But what they're not is they're not a punishment that fits this crime. Salvador Ramos had no prior convictions. He was 18 years of age. No prior convictions. No mental illness diagnosis. You're mad about this? You want to politicize this situation? Crack down on the criminals. Fuck the criminals. I get you. No problem. Just don't say, because of the Uvalde massacre, we need to do background checks. It makes no sense. It's like saying 9/11 happened because of Saudi Arabia. So let's go invade Iraq and Afghanistan. The punishment needs to fit the crime. An assault weapon was used. So it makes some sense to use the Uvalde tragedy, to politicize it in order to ban assault rifles. That would have been, that would have prevented the tragedy from being so goddamn huge. Definitely. That fits. But the background check, that doesn't fit. That doesn't fit at all. Okay, you pass background check. Salvador Ramos still shoots 19 kids and 2 adults. What the fuck are you doing, America? You're not making any sense, America. And the cops are terrible, right, liberals? The cops are terrible. So let's just give the cops all of our fucking guns. I mean, they're terrible. They can't do their damn job. That Claudia Camacho, she stabbed her 2 kids to death. You don't need a gun to murder. But guns make it easier to kill. And to kill a lot more. So I see the logic there with the assault weapons ban. The damn administration hasn't got shit done. They did this back in the 90s with Clinton. Let's bring back 99 cents a gallon too if we're going to do a bunch of 1990s shit. What about that hero mother who saved her child? One of the people who was arrested had their own child murdered. That's what our cops in America do. They'll give the lawful people a speeding ticket. They'll ban you from jaywalking or smoking some weed. And if you're a mother or father and you want to go into the school to save your child, they'll arrest you. They'll arrest you. Only they can protect and serve, and they'll protect and serve however the fuck they want to. They'll take their goddamn time if they want to, and you'll just have to sit off to the side and be happy. The hero mother, they eventually let her off the handcuffs. She goes inside and saves her child. Thank God for that hero mother. But there's another person, a father or mother, who had been arrested, and their child got murdered. Their child got murdered. Because the cops had went ahead and arrested the mother and the father who's going to save the child. They weren't going to do the saving. They weren't going to do shit. But they get the fucking power. And they'll have power over people that they had power over. What, that crazy man? He's got a fucking gun. But you're a mother and father. You don't have any weapons. What, you drove over the speed limit a little bit, huh? You're a lawful, good, polite person. That means I can get away with victimizing you. Wait, that person has a gun? I might get hurt. So our cops, I think that's a good, solution for America to stop mass shootings. Let's have police officers not arrest the heroic mothers and fathers. Let's not have police officers who stop the good guys. God damn. You think that's why Salvador Ramos killed so many innocents? To show us civil society types that America doesn't work? Look at all the police motherfuckers. I bet you when they're beating somebody up, the damn system justifies their shit. So we're protecting police brutality? Motherfuckers don't like it when other folks genuflect, right? That's at Kaepernick. He was a son of a bitch because he took a knee. He wanted better police. People got mad about him just taking a knee, but cops just stood there like a dumb motherfucker for over a goddamn hour. Oh, it's just a fucking massacre. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. The gun issue is such a middle-class issue. Middle-class liberals, they're okay when it comes to. They don't have to deal with the crime. They don't have to deal with the police brutality. They don't have to deal with the fucking shit that they created. They live in their gated communities. And they say they don't want to get shot. Really, nobody wants to get shot. But this is going to be an issue. Yeah, if I had Bernie Sanders, then I would be okay with shredding the Second Amendment. But I didn't get Bernie Sanders. And when you live in a high murder and crime area, when you have a place, you live in a place where there's no police protection, how the hell are you supposed to defend yourself? You have a right to defend yourself. Middle-class liberals, they've never lived in an area with a high murder rate and crime rate. Middle-class liberals, they ever been poor and homeless? They ever had to fucking goddamn make rent in some shit neighborhood? You gotta go and hustle and make that fucking money. You gotta leave your house for 8 hours so these pieces of shit can steal your fucking stuff. So you can bring back that goddamn landlord some fucking money. Lots of middle-class liberals are okay with putting all the power in the hands of the police. Let the police have all the goddamn guns. Let the right wing and the police, and they'll protect us. Oh, oops, I guess not. They're not they're arresting us for saving our kids. Jesus Christ. Native Americans, poor folks, homeless folks, black folks, working class, white folks. Anybody that's part of the oppressed. Anybody that knows that it's a dog-eat-dog world out here. I got 14 solutions for America to stop mass shootings, and all of it comes from Uvalde. What can we learn from Uvalde? We can learn a lot of things from Uvalde. Don't chase the wrong guy. That school resource officer, he never made it to school, and he was chasing the wrong guy. So we could, start that. Chase the right guys. Lock the school doors. There's hey, we're all inside. Let's lock the doors. Get involved with school boards. Stop corporal punishment. The schools in Texas are still hitting the kids in the schools. They still got corporal punishment. A bunch of old curmudgeon assholes smacking hands with rulers. It's like, come up here, little Billy, and get your hand smacked with a ruler. How about fuck you? Get involved with school boards. Don't chase the wrong guy. Universal health care. Don't arrest the heroic mothers and fathers. With universal health care, we could have a society who invests in the health and lives of our own people. Get good cops. Get a good criminal justice system on top of the good cops. Could you imagine having an America where you got good cops who goes after the terrible, heinous criminals? 40% of Uvalde city's budget goes to the police. Why would you give them coward cops a goddamn anything? The only thing those coward cops need is a public spanking. They don't need to get paid anymore. No, you just go on home. You just like to stand around and not do shit? Well, you could have done that without taking our money. Have a criminal justice system that works. There's a dream. Universal internet. Education. Both of the arguments with the mother and the grandmother had to do with Wi-Fi and getting off the internet. He's got a right to communicate with others if they don't want to communicate with him. It's also a way to educate yourself. Have to go to goddamn school and get made fun of by a bunch of fucking loser-ass, stinky-ass, stupid shit kids. Free Mumia and Peltier and Assange. Learn your freedoms, America. Oh my God. How come liberals are just so fucking ready to throw the Second Amendment away? We got, right to speak, the right to guns, and then we have 70 more freedoms. And you bastards are ready to shred the first two. We got the right to a speedy and public and impartial trial, the right to remain silent, the right to access to the courts. At least that's Colorado. In Colorado, we got a right to home rule. No, the state and the feds don't run shit. We run our own homes. Because in Colorado, we got the right to home rule. We got a right to initiative and recall. We can, initiative. We can pass our own laws here. And we can throw the bums out. We also have a right to due process. We have a right to due process. Well, shit. There's a shithead in Texas that just killed some people. So let's not just get rid of the right to bear arms. Let's get the right to due process. Let's throw the right to a public trial. Let's get rid of all these rights. Right to initiative and recall, the right to petition, let's just get rid of all of our rights and freedoms. If we give away all of our rights and freedoms, then will we be safe? Then will we have complete safety? We can pursue freedom and safety at the same time without contradiction. We need to have a gun safety culture. Let's assume you get that amendment, America. Let's assume you get that amendment and, assault weapons are banned. You're still going to have pistols, shotguns, and rifles to deal with. And let's have a gun safety culture. Let's just have a gun safety culture. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. Just learn 4 goddamn rules. And if you don't know these 4 rules, then you shouldn't have a fucking gun. Number 1, treat all guns like they're loaded. Number 2, never point a gun at anybody. Number 3, keep your fingers off the trigger. Number 4, be sure of your target and what's behind it. One more time, treat all guns like they're loaded. Never point a gun at anybody. Keep your finger off the trigger and be sure of your target and what's behind it. Raise your children with some goddamn backbone. And legalize marijuana when they turn 18. Instead of saying let's buy a gun and shoot people, let's smoke some goddamn marijuana. Shit has been tough, but shit, you just got... So I heard the phrase, we shouldn't be giving weapons of war to an 18-year-old. Really? I mean, probably not, right? You shouldn't be giving weapons of war to 18-year-olds. But shit, this is America. That's who gets all the weapons of war. Young men in the military. Are you freaking kidding me? $40 billion of weapons of war went into the hands of the young Ukrainian men willing to fight and die for their countries. 18-year-olds get to drive, sign contracts, get married, buy and sell real estate. We shouldn't be giving weapons of war to anybody unless they're actually in a war. I hate the collective punishment aspect. Some asshole murdered folks in Texas. Now everybody has to be punished. That man is dead. That man got punished. He got punished. He went and killed people and then he got shot and killed. Why are you going to punish other people? Maybe punish his parents, punish his culture, punish his society. Some asshole in Texas was a piece of shit. So now somebody in Alaska has to get punished for it? Lots of good men with guns didn't do anything, didn't harm or hurt anybody. And it was ended off with a good guy with a gun. You had a border agent that shot and killed him. So even though you had a bunch of men with guns, none of them good, it was ended off with a good guy with a gun. I wonder about the child abuse. Texas schools are still beating their kids. 70 to 80% of America says that they spank their kids at least once. Only 19% of Americans believe that you should never hit your kids. He shot his grandma. The Sandy Hook boy shot his mother. One guy in Florida, he had a large inheritance coming his way. But his guardians didn't tell him that. People aren't empowering others. They're not empowering him. You got money coming your way, man. In capitalist USA, people are deceitful. A bunch of shiesty, lying, cheating, stealing motherfuckers. Whatever it takes to get your greenback dollar. They can't give good advice. They need to say, hey, yeah, why don't you give me your money? No, just give me all your resources. Where's the solidarity? Where's the strong unions? Love and belonging. You heard of Maslow's hierarchy? Not only do we need food, water, clothing, but we also need security, love and belonging, solidarity, strong. We need self-actualization. How are we going to get self-actualized when we're slave waging for some faceless corporation? Now, you may think that limiting gun rights will help folks, and I love pissing off the right wing, but on this issue, the left is just so fucking wrong on Look at Ukraine. If the guns are so goddamn bad, how come we've given Ukraine $40 billion worth of weapons? Huh? Supporting Ukraine is eternally right. They have a right to defend themselves from violent oppression and aggression. Without the guns, Ukraine can't defend themselves at all. They fall the moment Russia invades. Of course, the thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. The bad guy with the gun continues being a bad guy with a gun until Johnny Hurley of Uvalde kills him. And then the police will kill Johnny Hurley. Even in this case, that Border Patrol guy, it was a good guy with a gun that killed this guy. That guy is dead. So the punishment, what? You don't have somebody else to blame and pick on afterwards? He did it. He's the one that's responsible. He went to public education for 11 years. Didn't he learn anything for 11 years? Sitting there and getting all those PowerPoint notes and being disrespected for his lisp and his stutter? I mean, he got shitted on. He went to school for 11 goddamn years. His parents failed him. His school failed him. His society, the cops. The cops failed us all. And if a civil war does erupt, liberals were fucked. They got all the guns. But middle-class whites are safe and secure. They live in gated communities. Middle-class white people, they're okay with, the cops may have to murder some, poor, working-class person in order to maintain order. Middle-class whites in gated communities are willing to sacrifice the lives of working-class families. They're okay with it. They got silver spoon in their mouth. They're Hollywood silver spoon. They don't know what it's like to have to struggle. You ever actually talk to somebody that said they've never struggled? You've never struggled? Yeah, middle-class whites. Middle-class whites could say that shit because they've never struggled. And instead of helping everybody else in the world, instead, they want to disempower people. Hurry up and take the guns. How come we don't have the same zest to getting the homeless some homes? $5 billion is all it takes. $5 billion and we'll get rid of homeless once and for all. That's assuming we're a Christian nation who give a goddamn flying fuck about each other, which we're not. So let's just talk about he got into a fight with his mother over Wi-Fi. She said, turn it off. He said, no. And then he goes to live with his grandma or something. He's sleeping on a mattress in the front room of his grandparents' house. So his mother's into drugs, so he has to deal with this poor neighborhood, right? Uvalde is like 70%, like 30, it's super duper poor. 80% of the school was on free reduced lunch. So he's in a dead-end town. Wendy's is probably one of the best jobs. So he got the best job. He was going to school. They try to stop him from graduating. So what prospects does he have now? He would get bullied for his lisp and his stutter. He'd get into fist fights. Got into a fight with his mother over Wi-Fi. Got into a fight with his grandmother over a phone bill. But cutting off his communication with the rest of the world, that might have been his only saving grace. The only thing keeping him sane. With all the damn corporal punishment, with all the damn... They weren't talking to him. They weren't encouraging him. They're saying, go do the trash. You're beneath us. You're inferior to us. He goes to kill a bunch of 7 and 9-year-olds. What a piece of He didn't go kill the people that were bullying him. He just killed a bunch of innocent kids. He just got mad for some fucking reason. And, he texts to that German teenager. Something about just shooting grandma. Came back. She's shot. Now I'm going to go, Liberals who are opposed to guns are okay with cops having guns. How come? Well, that cop has a badge and a hat. What's the difference? You're a fascist fucking piece of shit? Give cops all the guns? All those fucking bastards they sat around with the goddamn thumb up their ass? Give them all the fucking guns? No, I don't think so. We don't need a bunch of fascists just being in power. Bunch of fascist assholes in power to get lethal force just for the sake of getting lethal force. If William Glasser is right, we humans, we need love, fun, freedom, and power in our lives, then we need to be empowered. We need to be empowered. We're Americans. Give that American a revolver. Give that an American a rifle and a pistol. $5 billion is all it would take to get rid of homelessness. For a moment in U.S. history, we could have actually said we gave a damn about the lives of other people. $5 billion. They say, oh, only $5 billion. Yeah, compared to $40 billion that we just gave to Ukraine, compared to $700 billion we give to the military-industrial complex every goddamn year. $5 billion. Drop in the bucket. But now, if you're homeless, you got to do a bid. If you're homeless in America, you got to do a bid. Go rob a bank. Go shoot somebody. Now you got 3 hots and a cot. Now you got legal protection. Now you got shelter. The truly desperate can figure out a path. Either way, I heard about a guy just took a rock and he threw the rock into a window and just sat and waited for the police to take. Nah, it's cold tonight. It's cold tonight. You would have kicked me out of your damn shelter, so take me to jail, motherfucker. I'm going to keep on breaking windows. Necessity is the mother of invention. We don't have universal health care. That would be protection of life, right? Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. We don't even care about each other's lives. Look at our public policies. The poverty class is maintained. There's no social safety net. We're just maintained for cheap labor for the criminal justice system to exploit, for landlords to milk. Candace Owens thought it was a trans illegal alien. Why? Because he's brown, you racist dickhead. There are photos of the gunman cross-dressing. Apparently he had some eyeliner. One of the pictures had eyeliner. There are plenty of signs that he was mentally disturbed. He had shitty parents living in a sick society, forcing him to go public school. They're not helping him. They're saying, shit, sit down, shut up. Nobody's actually talking to the person. Only Jordan Peterson is saying, hey, man in the middle of Texas, I'm giving you advice to help you pull yourself up. Mr. Gosar, Paul Gosar, said that he was an illegal alien. Fucking Arizonian fucking congressman dickhead, that fucking GOP piece of shit. Salvador Ramos is a U.S. citizen born in North Dakota. So, yeah, sorry, Candace Owens and Paul Gosar and Republicans. Sorry. He's an American citizen, not a citizen of another country. So you can't use this crisis to shut down immigration and the border. A good guy with the gun stopped the shooter. Hey, liberals, a good guy with the gun stopped the shooter. The shooter would have kept on shooting until that Border Patrol guy shot him. Great for that Border Patrol guy, but isn't he out of his jurisdiction? Salvador Ramos was born in North Dakota. His mother was a drug addict, dirt poor. He's a dirt poor brown American living in Texas on the border 60 miles from Mexico. Uvalde is 70% brown, 30% white, less than 1% black. Hey, Uvalde, where's all the black people? Uvalde needs some brothers. Uvalde needs some spirit. Uvalde has a 25% to 30% poverty rate. The child poverty rate is even higher, 34% to 40%. Uvalde is going through some shit. 1 out of 4 families are poor. 2 out of 5 children are poor. That's a lot of poor folks all piled up in one area. Salvador Ramos worked at Wendy's. He had a job while he was going to school. And Wendy's, they want a worker bee. They probably hated that he went to school. Now I need you to work tomorrow. They didn't care about his graduation prospects. Now he's dropped out. Now he quit. Now what's he going to do? His school is saying that Salvador Ramos won't get to graduate with his own class. I bet that had a bunch to do with it. And then those cops, what a bunch of, they're afraid to kill. Cops are afraid to kill. Wow, America, you are so broken. A cop sees an unarmed person, they'll shoot that person, but an armed person, a goddamn active shooter killing people in the neighborhood, they won't shoot him. Like Johnny Hurley, they'll wait for a citizen to stand up and then they'll shoot that citizen. The hypocrisy. Clean background checks. Salvador Ramos had a clean background check. Those shit cops had clean background checks. So if you got a clean background check, you're probably a school shooter. Or you're probably a cop that's going to put your thumb up your butt during a school shooting. 78 minutes. Cops didn't do shit. 78 minutes. Cops will fuck over lawful people in a New York minute for some petty offense that nobody knew about. But the actual dangerous criminals, cops don't do shit about them at all. Public schools are a disgrace. There's no freedom or democracy. They're totalitarian, authoritarian, soul-crushing, mind-numbing institutions. His mother and father clearly failed. She's a druggie. He was sleeping on a mattress at his grandparents' house just a day or two. The father said that Salvador Ramos should have just shot him, the father, not the school, which is maybe the only smart thing that guy ever probably said. Mother said to not judge Salvador Ramos. Don't judge Salvador Ramos. Poverty, Uvalde, Texas is a very poor district in the U.S. 70% Hispanic, 20 to 30% poverty, very few opportunities. 81% of those in Uvalde are dirt poor. In the school system, poor, reduced. He lived in a poor neighborhood with trailers all over on a dirt road with mud puddles. It's a terrible town. It's a terrible town with terrible people. No opportunities, no options. Trailers, dirt roads, mud puddles, bunch of criminal piles of shit. And then there's corporal punishment. They're still hitting kids in Texas schools, in Arkansas, Mississippi, and Alabama schools too. 70% of all the child violence in schools comes from Texas, Alabama, Mississippi, and Arkansas. Clearly his parents are terrible, but the damn culture, the whole goddamn culture. It's clear to say, it's easy to say, hey, Salvador Ramos, don't be violent to us. But society was violent to him. You're going to tell young men not to be violent to others, but you're going to be violent to young men? At least two-thirds of American parents have spanked their kids. 81% of Americans think that hitting kids is okay. Only 19 say that it's never okay. Parents are legally allowed to hit their kids in all 50 nifty United States. Most modern nations have banned corporal punishment. If Salvador Ramos would have been arrested instead of got shot, he wouldn't have got spanked, he wouldn't have got caned, he wouldn't have got hit at all. So disrespect your parent, then get corporal punishment. Murder a bunch of kids, nobody gives you corporal punishment? Nobody at all. How come the adults get away with all the fucking crimes? Nobody ever spanks the adults. Those cops need to be bent over somebody's knee and spanked. They need to get whooped. It's okay to whoop a bunch of vulnerable children. Are our future. So it's fucked up that we Americans only hit our own children, but not criminal adults who killed our children. Fucked up. Matthew McConaughey said his father was violent. And he said he wasn't resentful of it at all. But he also says he doesn't raise his kids the same way. That's Matthew McConaughey's hometown. He said we need to make small sacrifices. Salvador Ramos was bullied. It's a poor town. He had poor clothes. The cops are awful. They don't protect and serve. They'll take our money, take our jobs. They'll take the perks and the donuts, but to protect and serve, Uvalde cops don't believe in that. 40% of that city council. Think of all that waste, all them teachers, all their cops. Fire all those bastards in the graduation class. Make them the cops and the teachers. They need a revolution in Uvalde. Those goddamn cops are wearing big old cowboy hats, huh? Boy, you guys, you a cowboy, huh? You gonna stand up to the bad. Yeah, no, you are the bad fucking guy. Pretend you're at large and in charge, but really you're a bunch of cowards. You'll attack Tupac for jaywalking, but for over an hour as your kids, as some 18-year-old kid was killing your elementary kids, just going hog wild, killing your kids. You got that big old cowboy hat on. You don't get no confidence? That cowboy hat doesn't give you any courage. We also live in a dog-eat-dog capitalist society. Who's going to give him any good advice? It's better to, lie, cheat, and steal. Take his money, take his resources. He might have been a bully, but he got bullied too. He had a stutter and a lisp. One picture had him wearing eyeliner. Online, he's trying to find love, but he lashes out when he doesn't find it. He takes pictures of dead cats. Apparently, he's abusing cats, so that's just Jeffrey Dahmer shit right there. He said the whole world needed to be raped. He bought 2 AR-15s right at 18 years of age. He's like, I'm an adult now. I'm an American adult. I have all these freedoms and privileges, and fuck it. I'm going to throw my life away. Jordan Peterson said that there's no better way to say that life is pointless. Look at all this pointless shit than to go kill a bunch of innocent people and then at the end kill yourself. So in a way, it's usually, some suicidal situation. Hitler was suicidal, so they asked him if a cat had scratched him. He had a bunch of scratches on his face. He's like, nah, I just cut my face up with a knife. Huh. No shit. Abusing cats, cutting your face up with a knife. He had a stutter and a lisp. He's getting bullied. People aren't nice. Test them. Test people. People are dickheads, especially in America. Ask them for an investment advice. There you go. Ask them for investment advice. People who aren't your friends can never waste their time giving you investment advice. Here's investment advice. Give me your money. My problem with gun control is that we got 70 constitutional freedoms. Over 70 constitutional freedoms. You want to shred my right to guns? Where do you stand on peacefully assembling? Where do you stand on the right to petition? Where do you stand on the right to a public and speedy and impartial jury trial? Where do you stand on the right to demonstrate and remonstrate? It'd be better than mass murder? If Salvador Ramos would have petitioned, if he would have demonstrated, if he would have remonstrated, if he would have peacefully assembled. Did he know his rights and freedoms as an American? He has a right to an attorney, a right to remain silent, a right to speak, a right to defend himself, right to initiative, referendum, recall, right to food, water, clothing, and shelter. He's got natural rights. He's got constitutional rights. But he went to American government schools, and it's totalitarian, authoritarian. No freedom, no democracy, no solidarity, no civil society, no civilization whatsoever. The fascists in charge look like but those who convince and persuade others are the fools, bossy, bully, authoritarian, fascist bastards look proper and correct. And the people that treat others like the way that we should be treated look like a bunch of pushovers. He was supposed to graduate this year. He went to school for, 12 years straight? And then as soon as he turns 18, he's separated from his peers. He's not going to graduate. What options did he have? And how come he doesn't know how to behave? 12 years of public education? 12 years of public education? Salvador Ramos didn't learn how to behave after 12 years of public education? How come he didn't know how to solve problems? How come he didn't have any goddamn emotional intelligence? How come he didn't have any friends or a support system? He went to public education for 12 goddamn years. All that fucking math and social studies. All that reading and all those tests. All those PowerPoint. Look at you, teacher. You're so fucking smart. You got all the power, all the money, and you treat me like a dick. Public schools aren't helping people. Public schools exacerbate the problems. They're not alleviating them. Be better to homeschool your kids and just make sure they have high-speed internet and socialize and talk to them. You don't want them being socialized all these. He was on the Yubo app. The school resource officer, armed security guard, was chasing some teacher. He drove right past Salvador Ramos just like they did with Rittenhouse. It was a good guy with the gun that ended the whole thing, but goddamn, a lot of fucking douchebags with guns. Switzerland, they got lots of guns, no mass shootings. They all need to get training, Peace Corps, Army Corps, public service, 2 years of Army. All guns are registered with the government. His mother's boyfriend didn't like him. She's got to get those drugs. Sorry, son. Nah, I'm with this guy because he knows how to get those drugs. Him and his mother were always yelling at each other. He'd call her a bitch and post it on TikTok. His grandfather, who was actually talking to him, who actually believed in him, who cared about him. His grandfather was a felon. He wasn't allowed to own guns. He said he didn't know how Salvador Ramos had bought the guns. Corporal punishment. Teachers love teachers love parents who dole out corporal punishment because they could threaten the student. I'll just tell your parents and they'll hit you. Public school teachers are okay with having authoritarian parents. It's the one tool they can use to get compliance. So when it comes to the options, what did Salvador Ramos have? He lived in a dead-end, one-horse town. He didn't have a UBI check. He was going to stay in poverty forever. No Glass-Steagall was passed. The banks could exploit him as much as they wanted to. Power comes out of a barrel of a gun. And so when I hear about gun control, you're just trying to disempower the people. You want to ignore Salvador Ramos's cries and his yells and his screams for help. You want to walk past the homeless without giving a goddamn fuck. You don't care if your neighbor has health care or job or any prospects whatsoever. You're a cop. You're a teacher. You're getting paid by the system not to save people's lives, not to educate and inspire, not to serve and protect, but to maintain order, to maintain the status quo, to save the banks, not the people, not the farmers, not the working class families. We need a better deal.